For the longest time, we've all kind of been fed this idea that intelligence is just set in stone. You're born with it, it's a number, and that's that. But what if that's not the full story? What if you could actually train your brain to be sharper, faster, maybe even more creative?
I mean, who hasn't wondered that, right? Can I actually get smarter? Well, the really cool thing is that modern science has a super optimistic answer for us. It turns out your intelligence isn't just some dusty old IQ score from high school. Nope, it's actually a dynamic set of skills that you can grow. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into today.
And this right here, this really gets to the heart of it. We're throwing out that old, rigid idea that your genes lock in your IQ forever. The new science is telling us something way more exciting. Our brains are incredibly flexible. They can literally rewire themselves depending on what we do, the world around us, and the new challenges we decide to tackle.
All right, so here's the game plan for our journey. We'll kick things off with how your brain can even change in the first place. Then we'll get into the fun stuff, how to train it and how to fuel it. We'll even look at some solid proof that this stuff actually works. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with how you can become your smartest self.
Okay, let's jump right in. Section 1, Your Brain Can Change. We're going to look at the science of a smarter you, because this isn't just some feel-good idea. It's backed by some seriously cool biology.
So, the magic word you need to know is neuroplasticity. It sounds complicated, but it's an amazing concept. It's your brain's incredible ability to reorganize itself, to build new pathways between brain cells. Think about it. Every single time you learn something new, practice a new skill, or even just have a new idea, you are physically changing the structure of your brain. That's the engine that makes all this growth possible.
Now look, let's be real. Decades of research show that genetics play a huge part. We're talking up to 80%. But that is not the whole story. See that other slice of the pie? That 20%? That's shaped by your environment, your habits, what you choose to do. And that 20%? Well, that's where we get to play. That's where we have the power to make a huge difference.
I love this way of thinking about it. Your brain isn't some fixed piece of hardware, like a computer. No, it's a muscle. And just like any other muscle, the more you work it out, the stronger it gets. The pathways between your brain cells literally get beefier, helping you think faster and smarter.
Okay, so if the brain is a muscle, how do we take it to the gym? That brings us to Section 2, How to Train Your Brain. Let's talk about the actual mental workouts for a sharper mind.
All right, these are your go-to exercises. Think of them as your brain's gym routine. Solving puzzles, Sudoku, chess, you name it, that's like doing reps for your logic and problem-solving skills. Reading a ton of different stuff, not just your usual, builds up your thinking and vocabulary. But the real heavy lifting, learning a brand new, complex skill, like a language or musical instrument, that just lights up your brain, forcing it to build all these new connections. The big secret here is to constantly push yourself just a little bit past what's comfortable.
Okay, but here's a pro tip, maybe the ultimate IQ booster. Ready? Teach what you learn to someone else. Seriously, when you have to explain a concept to another person, your brain is forced to boil it down, organize it, and make it make sense. It's a process that cements that knowledge in your own mind like nothing else.
But hey, hating the mental gym is only half the battle, right? To really perform at its best, your brain needs the right fuel. So, on to Section 3, How to Fuel Your Brain. We're talking about that all-important mind-body connection. We always think of exercise as being for our bodies, but it might be one of the best things you can do for your brain. When you get your heart rate up, you're pumping more blood, oxygen, and nutrients up there. But even cooler, it boosts this protein called BDNF. Just think of BDNF as Miracle-Gro for your brain. It literally helps grow new brain cells and keeps the old ones healthy.
And it's not just about getting sweaty. Your whole lifestyle is part of the equation. Eating foods packed with things like omega-3s and antioxidants, that's like putting armor on your brain cells. Getting good sleep, like 7 to 9 hours, is absolutely non-negotiable. That's when your brain does its cleanup and memory filing. Even things like mindfulness meditation have been shown to physically grow parts of your brain tied to focus and memory. And hey, don't underestimate a good, deep conversation. It really challenges you to think on your feet.
Okay, so we've got the theory, we've got the methods, but the big question is, does any of this stuff actually work in the real world? Well, let's look at the proof. Time for Section 4, and a really fascinating study called the Kashpersky Experiment.
So let's hop in a time machine back to the 1970s. A researcher named R. Khrushchev set up this super ambitious 3-year-long study. He wanted to find out if you could take a bunch of high school students and, through intensive training in creative problem solving, actually raise their intelligence scores. A pretty bold idea, right?
The setup was pretty simple, really. He had two groups of students. The first was the control group. They just went about their normal school days. But the second group, the experimental one, got special classes every week. They were given these fun, creative challenges designed to make them think outside the box. Stuff like, okay, you're tied to a tree. How do you get out?
So after 3 years, plus another year of follow-up, they crunched the numbers. And the results were just, wow. A modern look at the data found that the students who did the creative problem-solving training saw their IQ scores jump by an average of 10 points more than the other students. 10 points. That's not just a tiny bump. That is a massive, potentially life-changing increase.
And all of this leads us right to our final section, your smartest self. Because all this science, all this proof, it all points to one really empowering idea. You have way more control over building a sharper mind than you might think.
So, what's the bottom line here? Let's boil it down. First, your intelligence is not fixed. It's a system you can actively improve. The way to do it? Consistently challenge your mind, fuel your brain with good food, exercise and sleep, and really engage with the world and people around you.
Look, the science is solid. The methods are proven. A smarter, sharper version of you isn't just some far-off possibility, it's a project you can literally start working on today. So the only question left is, what's the first step you're going to take to challenge your brain?